Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Thomas and Friends. The Steamies of Sodor save Diesel. Springtime was always beautiful on the island of Sodor. The water sparkled in the sun. And beautiful trees were starting to get green again. It was a busy time for all the antics, and so Topham had liked them to be really useful. But it was a rainy day later on. The rain battered Edward the Blue Engine as he puffed along the main line. The storm had raged across the island of Sodor for a week, making life on the railway difficult. The trucks had been troublesome too. They wanted to venture out in such an awful weather. This made him late heading to Napper Station, but Edward didn't mind. Every wheel turn, he grew more and more excited. There was to be a special train of enthusiasts to take pictures of all the steam engines for its enthusiast grand opening. On his return journey, Edward stopped at a junction. And soon, there the Diesel roared past with his coaches. Sir Topham was on board. They were on their way to the mainland and would be back in the morning with the enthusiast special. Edward whistled cheerfully and set off again. As Edward puffed through and past Morgan's Mines Bridge, he was surprised to see that Duck was lifting all the trucks back onto the track, and workmen was there to help out, and they was also here to rebuild Great Waterton Station. Trucks lay at odd angles, and coal was everywhere on the tracks. He surveyed the scene as he passed by cautiously. What happened here? He murmured. When all the work was done, Edward returned to his station. Duck was shucking a crane into the shed. Before Edward could ask anything, Duck huffed indignantly. It's not fair. They're going to send him away. Who do you mean? Asked Edward. It's Diesel, continued Duck. Percy had a bad accident at Great Waterton Station, Edward, and James said that he saw Diesel push some trucks into him. And since the Topham has gone to the mainland for a day or two, the inspector is going to be in charge of us and decided to send Diesel away. He'll be back on the mainland before the morning. You must be able to persuade the inspector to otherwise, asked Duck. It all seems to be incredibly unnecessary. The evidence seems clear, said Edward, but I can't change that. What is it? The facts have not been fully explored. Oh, who cares? Said Bill. Yeah, added Ben. He had it coming for ages. But that doesn't mean that the inspector has the right to be harsh on him, explained Duck. Diesel changed a lot in the past 3 years, and he's deserved a fair chance. Edward considered the case. I'm off to take Rosie's train while she's at the works. Please, Edward, show a little kindness on Diesel. And Duck puffed away. Well, I'll see to it. Oh, and by the way, Edward. Yes, Duck? When I'm done with Rosie's train, I will come join your meeting to all the other engines so that we can find Diesel. Oh, okay, Duck. See you later. Now let's get back to the sheds. And Edward puffed away. Allie and Bert heard about this too, and thought that Diesel's punishment was too harsh, and called for the decision of the reconsider for when September Hat returns to the railway. But it fell on deaf ears.
Anything that diesels do, Steamies know that they can too. Diesels, Steamies, engines who try to do things better. They both have a different role. We need oil, we need coal. All of us have just one goal, try to do things better. Who can shut most trucks or bricks on trains that are much longer? Steamies, they get up to tricks, but diesels are much stronger. Who has gleaming piston rods and paintwork bright and shining? Who can pull the longest train and still keep perfect timing? Anything that diesels do, Steamies know that they can too. Diesels, Steamies, engines who try to do things better. They both have a different role. We need oil, we need coal. All of us have just one goal, try to do things better. Who goes bumping into trucks, causing so much trouble? Who can lift those heavy loads and clear the lines of rubble? Who can only honk their horns while Steamies whistle loudly? Who's that straining up the hill while Gordon sees by proudly? Anything that diesels do, Steamies know that they can too. Diesels, Steamies, engines who try to do things better. They both have a different role. We need oil, we need coal. All of us have just one goal, try to do things better. Who can shun those trucks or bricks on trains that are much longer? Steamies, they get up to tricks, but diesels are much stronger. Who has gleaming piston rods and paintwork bright and shining? Who can pull the longest train and still keep perfect timing? Anything that diesels do, Steamies know that they can too. Diesels, Steamies, engines who try to do things better. They both have a different role. We need oil, we need coal. All of us have just one goal, try to do things better. All of us have just one goal, try to do things better.
That night, it was packed at Timmy's sheds as Edward arrived. Engines were huddled in corners of whispering. Percy was surrounded by workmen as the inspector was telling him what to do. Worst of all, James was saying as loud as any other engine can listen that Diesel will finally be gone soon. But none of the engines didn't believe him. Edward looked at every face of engines as he pumped onto the turntable. He was to make sure that none of the other diesels or none of the armies wasn't there. After he checked it, he whistled loudly. "We must discuss Diesel," he said firmly. "Inspector, I don't believe you don't have all the facts, but I would like for you if you can excuse us for me to talk to any of my friends here." The inspector, who was already late for his tea, agreed. "All right, but as you don't even notice, I'm in charge until the top hat gets back tomorrow. You have until first light to convince me not to send Diesel away forever." And he walked away so that he can get his cup of tea. The workman was done fixing Percy and sent back home. Everyone puffed towards the turntable and glared at Edward. "Right, now that we got that out the way, let's get this over," said Henry. "The facts has begun clear," began Gordon. "Our poor Percy has been thrown off the rails by some trucks, all because of Diesel was pushing it. James is our witness and saw Diesel there, and caught him fleeing this scene." "Exactly," agreed James. "Are we all clear about what happened and agree that Diesel is the culprit?" Some of the engines did. "Right. That's settled then." "No, it is not. Me and some of the engines don't agree." "What? I beg your pardon?" "I don't believe Diesel tried to hurt me. Do you believe that, Edward?" said Percy sadly. "I'm afraid," said Edward, "that you're right, Percy. Diesel wasn't trying to hurt the trucks. He was only trying to catch them. But not under the guidance of Diesel." "What is the meaning of this? Explain yourself, Edward." "I believe this is not a fair trial," said Edward calmly. "You all have been nice to Diesel since he first arrived, and so was Harry and Bert. But do not let this cloud your judgment on the facts presented to us. And we all know what will happen to Diesel when he goes to the mainland tomorrow." "Oh, he'll be fine." "But what if he's not?" said Donald. "Aye," agreed Douglas. "Diesel will be sent away to the mainland and maybe be scrapped." Toby had heard everything and decided to join the conversation. "But that was a different time," he said. "And besides, that wasn't Diesel personally." "Enough. We are digressing about what matters that are irrelevant." "Well, I saw the whole thing." "No, you didn't," said Edward as he turned around. "You were flagged down after the accident. So how did you see Diesel push Percy off the rails?" Well, I didn't see the part of the particular time. But I did see the trucks are running away." "Indeed. Innocent engines don't run away," huffed Thomas. "Only those who have something to hide," objected Henry. Emily interjected. "Well, maybe he thought you all prejudged him." "I guess at least all of us here will do that without our reason." The engine started to grumble. "Nonsense! She made a perfectly valid point." "And will even accusing us?" "No better than you accusing Diesel." "Let us take a vote," announced Edward. "All in favor of guilty, Please sound your whistle. And all who is in favor are innocent. Donald, Douglas, after all Diesel have done to me. But that was 40 years ago, said Donald and Douglas. Betrayer. Nothing but a suit. Israel is only a pagan, Gordon, said Toby. Of course he did, said Henry. I saw him earlier being careless with the trucks. But we all get that sometimes with the trucks, admitted Thomas. And that's nothing new there. But you set it up for him. I'm only making a point, James. And besides, nearly always bumped our trucks to make them behave. What's to say that Diesel wasn't the one doing it? Because some of the Diesels are devious, said Donald. Toby had turned around so that he could talk. Will you all just shut up? Toby! Not all Diesel are devious. And we all know that Diesel have changed his ways when he first came to Sodor. So did Harry and Bert. And some of the other Diesels that we know and love are really close friends to us. Mavis is nothing but the nicest friend that I ever met. And so do any of you. And so are Daisy, Boko, and Bear. That's why we all was nice to him. And that's why we became friends with them. The engine stopped for a moment. They helped us through many situations. And although that James here is still not interacting with Diesels, but he's trying to make up his mind. And wants to be friends with Diesel, Harry, and Bert. And so are the other Diesels that have worked on the island of Sodor. Now James felt hurt. And after what Toby had said, James now felt bad for what he just had said. You're right, Toby. I did say sorry to Diesel, Harry, and Bert for being mean to them when they first came to Sodor. Of course I am, James. Diesels are like us. There are some Diesels that are nice, and there are some Diesels that are calm and preferable. Oh, they are, Toby, said Henry, and we'll take back what we said. We're sorry for saying what was Diesels. But we still didn't reveal why Diesel was bumping the trucks. I know the fact that Diesel was bumping the tow trucks. He wasn't worth it to pull them anyway. But Diesel is a shunter. And besides, why would Diesel do such a thing? He was only preparing the trucks. Oh, maybe he did that to warn Percy off the whales. Aye, said Douglas. Taking something that's not yours. That sounds familiar, said Thomas. Remember my special coat that you two had hid away from me? The twins look hurt. And swapping tender so that you can deceive to top of hat, said Edward. Come on, are we on trial here? What's your point here, Edward? The point is that we all make mistakes and we do feel silly some of the times. And so that we won't get in trouble. Well, maybe the whole situation has happened and it's nothing more, finished Thomas. Donald and Douglas muttered to each other. And after that, they looked away from each other. But it wasn't distinguished from the other engines. And they knew not to disturb them. And after a long silence, Edward asked for another vote. All in favor of guilty, please whistle. And all in favor of not guilty? Complete divide, said Toby. Percy, you still believe that Diesel is guilty? Well, of course he does. Shut it, Gordon, and let him speak, shouted Thomas. Well, Diesel had played tricks on me before years ago, said Percy. Remember that time, Duck? He was sent to help us out at the harbor? And he used to bump me wherever the chance I wanted to rest. I do indeed, Percy, but that was such a long time ago. Percy thought back. Well, nothing have comes to mind. I have a lot of accidents, but nothing caused by Diesel. You see, said Edward. And well, to be honest, I made a lot of mistakes my time here too, and I was never told to be sent away just because of it. That's because you're not an army, Percy. Oh, well, I don't know what that is, but, you know. Now, Percy, let me ask you a simple question. Do you believe that Diesel's punishment was too harsh? Well, now that I'm thinking about it, yes, I think so. And do you believe he did it? Stop putting words in his mouth, shouted Gordon. Says you who told that the facts appeared beforehand, said Emily crossly. Did anyone else see Diesel before the incident? None of them have, but all of them looked at Henry. So what do you remember seeing at the harbor, Henry? Well, I didn't stop, but I do remember seeing Diesel. We know that. Was anyone else there? Think again, Henry. Think carefully. Henry thought of what he had saw. And after that, he spoken. Well, I remember passing up by the harbor, and I saw Diesel bumping the trucks. And I also saw Rosie. Yes, Rosie was there too. Yes, that's right. Rosie was there on the yards. Trust you to miss a bright pink and purplish engine. Well, she can tell us what happened. Rosie was sent to the works during the day. They're fixing her buffer so that she can be in the film in the morning. Just then, the engines heard of a whistle, and it was Rosie. Rosie stopped right behind Toby. Theo, what a storm! Rosie trailed off. All of her friends, including her brother Thomas, was looking at her. And in fact, no one was smiling at her. After what she was informed of what was going on, Edward asked her a simple question. What do you remember on the day when Percy had his accident at Great Waterton Station, Rosie? All of the engines waited for in anticipation. Well, began Rosie. I was sitting at the harbor when Diesel arrived with the trucks. Shunting coal trucks is not how I can spend my day, grumbled Diesel. And even when they are troublesome. Well, know this, Diesel. I appreciate you having me here to help you. And besides, you won't be shunting any elsewhere. Well, while you take your break, I guess you gotta go to the works to fix your buffers. Oh, yeah, I should. And thanks to Bill and Ben troublesome in playing their game, one truck rolled right into me. Driver says that my bumpers are badly cracked. I'll have to get new ones from the works. Well, I'm not always the troublesome Diesel anymore. I used to, but not anymore, because I'm really nice to you, Thomas, and the other engines. But Bill and Dan are their troublesome recklessness. And you're just a whack, ladder trucks. Shut it, you. Diesel bumped the trucks furiously. Now get in line. It wasn't long until Diesel had finished shunting and was waiting for further instructions. But presently, Bill and Ben steamed into the yard. There were no trucks for them to take, so they decided to play their game. Bill found an empty truck and bumped it towards Ben. "There you go, Ben," shouted Bill. "Careful, you two," scolded Rosie. "This is exactly how you put me out of service." "Oh, right it up, Rosie. At least you can get some time off from working." "Yeah, we were only having fun." The twins began to play their game, no matter how Rosie tried to stop them. Diesel took no notice. He found it wisely to stay clear. Then there was trouble. Bill bumped the truck too hard, causing the truck to go onto the other line, and which will cause the truck to hit the trucks that Diesel had shunted. Soon the whole train was moving. "Oh no, the train!" cried Diesel. He raced out of the harbor to chase it. Diesel was panting behind him with the amount of strength he had. He managed to close the gap, but he was running at full speed. "Stay with them, Diesel," shouted his driver. "I can't. They're too fast." On, faster, faster," cried the trucks. "You can't catch us, Diesel." Faster, faster they went. The trucks began to pull away. Diesel tried his hardest, but it was no use. "No!" he crowed. Then there was more trouble. At Great Watershed Station, Percy was waiting for a signal. "Look out!" shouted Diesel in horror. But it was all in vain the plan. "So Diesel was trying to stop the runaway truck," said Thomas. "Indeed, Thomas. He went right after it and didn't stop to think about his own safety. It was brave of him, but Bill and Ben got in the way." "I'll see to that Bill and Ben can get their comeuppance." "I tried to tell someone, but no one will believe me." "This has changed everything. We can't sentence him to jail if he is innocent." "The facts are clear now. All in favor of guilty, please whistle." "We cleared Diesel's name." "Where's Diesel anyway?" "I think he's by the good shed in the yards." "He's not anymore," said the workman. "I just got off the phone with the signalman, and Diesel was told to leave to go to the mainland. And he just left the yards about an hour ago." "Then we must stop him." "Steam engines, it's time to save Diesel, our loved one's friend." And all the engines started pumping out of the shed to go save Diesel. Poor Diesel, whispered Percy. What have we done? And in the middle of the night, it was a nightmare, and the engine could barely see through the storm. They were called out from the signalman in the boxes. Please, they would say, it's an emergency. And so all nitrate was set aside to allow them through. Finally, in the dull light under the roof at the workstation, Edward saw a looking familiar engine. Oh my, Diesel, thank goodness you're still here, panted Edward. I had no choice, said Diesel. They're trying to let me go. You're not going anywhere, Diesel. We're here to save you. Whatever you engines doing here? Called the station master. Old Frank in the box has been telling me that his phone has been ringing non-stop. And it's been ringing for the last hour about this Diesel here. The inspector is on his way. Explain yourself. As Edward told him the tale, more engines arrived on the scene completing their case. The station master was a kind man and listened carefully. Right, he said, when they called him up to speed. We better be quick then. The inspector will be here soon. I'll speak in control. We're getting back to Timmy's sheds. All of you. When everything was done, all the engines went back to the sheds. But not just all the steam engines. Diesel was coming with them. By morning, the storm had eased to a light rain as a special train arrived. Bear was getting close to the sheds as he could, but Henry, James, and Gordon were outside. They wheezed, keep out. The three engines barred his way. Not this again, came a voice. Sir Topham walked out of his coach and walked up Cross Street. These passengers had came to take your pictures. Why aren't you? Whatever is the matter, Edward? Please, sir, I asked Bear to leave the passengers there until you had a chance to come talk. Edward popped onto the turntable and turned around. And Sir Topham Hatt walked out of his cab, and the dispute that he saw was the inspector. The inspector was breaking to every engine around the turntable. His clothes were soaked, and he hadn't looked like he hadn't been slept a wink. No dog to the timetable. No care for a position of protest. Calls from every down the line reported unusual activity. Took my bicycle out in the middle of the night, in the middle of the thunderstorm. And to the workstation, by the time I arrived, you all have cleared off. Ruined my uniform, signaling concluded, and conspired against me. to get you back home in your warm little sheds, and all because of him. Sir Topham Hatt saw him instantly what he meant. Parked behind him, Duck was protecting Diesel. Then Duck reached his steam furiously at the inspector. You said you'd give us until he first liked to figure out the truth, said Percy. And then you sent Diesel away to the mainland during the storm. And you did that all the facts, said Toby crossly. Silence! Sir Topham Hatt had left me and put me in charge. An engine caused a servant accident. I made a decision to part ways with this troublesome Diesel. Did you think that I was going to let you all lot tell me what to do? Sir Topham Hatt had heard enough. Inspector, a word if you please. The inspector turned around in surprise. Oh, Sir Topham, these engines here have mutinied. All out in the middle of the night, trapping into women. Yes, I heard, said Sir Topham Hatt, smiling. But, Inspector, I think you had a long night. Oh, I had, sir, I had. And it's all because of that troublemaking character we called Black Weasel here. On my authority, you should be leaving here on your authority. The engines were shocked. Well, on my authority, it sounds like you have been too hasty and to try and send an engine on my railway. Now, perhaps over some breakfast because his stuff is like, no, shouted the inspector crossly. He stomped his feet all the way to Duck. Move out of the way so I can take this Black Weasel to the scrapyard if I have to move. Duck stood firm. His driver fireman was out glaring at the inspector, and all the engines whistled furiously. Sir Topham Hatt sighed. He tried. Inspector, I know what you have been going through last night, but you have to understand that the engines are doing the best job they did. But you need to understand that you are the member of the railway staff. So I provide you if you can just leave. The inspector took Sir Topham Hatt's word. But he still stood staring at Duck for such a long time. Duck stared back, and so did Diesel. He finally turned away and walked back to Sir Topham Hatt. These engines broke every rule in the book last night. I'm so right about that, Diesel. I know I am. But you'll see. He threw his hat on the ground and walked away. When that was done, the big engines came back and left Bear out waiting for him. I see a way of forming meddling engines, Sir Topham had begun. But this is my railway, and I give the orders, I give the judgment, and I serve the punishment. But however, I am not blind of what you all have done. You all have saved a fellow engine who was trying to be sent for scrap. I am humbled you stood by, Diesel. I hope your actions will speak on behalf towards him. Well, sir, said James, I think you should thank Edward for doing the job. He's the one that called us and saved Diesel here. Indeed, James, and I am really proud of Edward for doing it. But we all make mistakes. And it's what we learn from them that's the most important thing of all. Now, are you all ready? I'm sure that the Enthusiast Special will like to see you all. I'll be on my way then, came a voice. Diesel has spoken for the first time all morning. The Enthusiast pictures are for all steam engines, and I will be ruining the pictures anyway. Not a chance, said Edward, because you got so many friends here. Diesel was looking at all the engines, and the engines was looking at Diesel, beaming. Timber Sheds is for the top of Hat's engines, said Henry. And it's not only for us all steam engines. It's all for you too, Diesel. The storm had stopped raining, and the enthusiast was here to take pictures of all the steam engines and was looking at them. Everyone was very happy. But the happiest of all was Diesel. When Abby and Bert passed by, they hooted and cheered for Edward. Yay for Edward! We know you can do it! Edward beamed contentedly and was happy to save a fellow Diesel. As for Bill and Ben, Sir Tom had to shut them up for a whole week for being naughty, and barred for working on Sir Topperhat's wherry for 3 months. But they decided that it wasn't worth playing their game ever again. Diesel remained on the railway. He never expressed his feelings, nor did he acknowledge the engine's environment thereon. But they all know, deep down, he was secretly grateful.
Run aboard the trains departing. Our apples filled to visitors here. The sights of Sodor all are waiting. Sit back and we'll take you there. Through the wind and rain we trundled, so we did our jobs on time. There were times we never grumbled. Soon we knew the sun was shining.
Edward never mentioned that Duck hasn't whistled in Diesel's innocence in the final vote. He only asked Duck once about it. Well, I thought it was retribution for what he had done to me all those years ago. Or when I was sent away to come help you. But now it was his turn. But as soon as I heard that he was gone, all that hatred and bitterness vanished. And no one could think about us doing the right thing. And that inspector was out of order. Diesel would never get to be sent away. He never deserved it. But I'm glad I stopped him. And so were me, you, and the other engines. Edward smiled. You did the right thing, Duck. I am very proud of you. Thanks, Edward. Edward knew that Duck and Diesel would never be friends. But it seems at long, Duck had finally let the past go. Even so, Orville had given all the engines a lot to think about. But it seems in life, facts aren't always clear after all.
Shopping trucks and all in freight, red and green and brown and blue. They're really useful crew, all with different roles to play. From Tidmouth sheds or far away, down the hills and round the bends, Thomas and his friends. Thomas sees the cheeky one, Jane is filled with lots of fun. Percy owns the mail and line, Gordon thunders down the line. Her stuff. Henry toots and horns and a box, Edward wants to help and share. Toby, he is wise and square. They're 2, they're 4, they're 6, they're 8, shunting trucks and hauling freight, red and green and brown and blue. They're really useful crew, all with different roles to play. From Tidmouth sheds or far away, down the hills and round the bends, Thomas and his friends. They're 2, they're 4, they're 6, they're 8, shunting trucks and hauling freight, red and green and brown and blue. They're a really useful crew, all with different roles to play. On Tidmouth sheds or far away, but down the hills and round the bends, Thomas and his friends. They're 2, they're 4, they're 6, they're 8, shunting trucks and